Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance's May 2023 webinar. My name is Christine Beck. I am the Alliance's organizational advocacy support. Today is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. The Alliance is proud to be an initiative of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities. Today, we are excited to have with us JJ Hanley from the Illinois Treasurer's Office. JJ is going to be sharing about the Illinois ABLE accounts. These are savings accounts for people with disabilities, and ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And isn't that what we all want? A better life experience. So welcome, JJ, and take it away.
Great. It can be heard. Hi, everybody. I know several of the folks on this call, and I assume I've got about 30 minutes. My plan is to spend about 30 minutes talking about these things called Illinois ABLE accounts, or ILL-ABLE, and invite the group to ask questions and make this really discussion based. Is that okay with Christine and everybody on the call?
This is Christine, and that is absolutely okay. We can't wait to learn with and from you.
All right. Well, first, big shout out to Chris. Chris, thank you for, as the policy coordinator, for providing an Alliance policy moment that covered ABLE accounts. Really appreciate that you're helping our disability community spread the word and understand what these are. It's a financial tool. It's a financial product. And so I'm guilty of kind of, I don't want to look at things that are related to money and finances and accounts, but it's really important for us as members of the disability community to know about them. I've been a disability advocate. I'm a parent, and I've been with our community for good Lord, 30 years, was a member of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities and know the Self-Advocacy Alliance well. And so am really honored to be here to talk with you about these accounts. And I invite you to stop me when you have a question, or if you throw them in the chat, I might rely on you, Christine, to make sure that I know that there's a question in there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what do I need to know about Illinois ABLE accounts? I put the word I in there because that means the person with a disability. What do I need to know about Illinois ABLE accounts? There'll be a lot of you as well, and I, but this is about you, the person with a disability, and having greater financial independence, having a way to build a great quality of life by saving money and not worrying about what saving money would do to your federal benefits if you receive federal benefits. So the people that you see on the screen are actual Illinois ABLE account owners, and we like to refer to them as the faces of Illinois ABLE. And we just recently had a new series of videos that are being produced where real Illinois ABLE account owners talk about how they use their ABLE account. So I hope you'll all watch out for those. Let's see how can I move this? Where's my little cursor need to go? Okay. A few things to know about Illinois ABLE accounts. And I'm really going to keep this high level because I want to give you a chance to ask the questions that you need to get answered. But here are some of the basic things that are important to know. So if somebody says, you know, Illinois ABLE, you have a real good grasp of what they are. Before I get started, does anybody in the group have an ABLE account? And, you know, if you want to raise your hand in the chat, or has anybody here ever heard of an ABLE account? Either one. Do you have one, or have you heard of ABLE accounts? Cool. Christine's heard of them. And if you haven't, I'm glad you're here. So a few things you need to know about Illinois ABLE accounts. First of all, ABLE, as Christine said, stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And that's really what these accounts are all about. This is a savings and investment account, and it's owned by you, the person with a disability. That's unusual. A lot of times people with disabilities are told they can't own anything. They can't have money because it will impact their disability benefits. Well, with an ABLE account, that's simply not true. It's owned by you, the person with the disability, and you are the account owner. That's your title. With the account, no matter who opens it. We're going to talk about that. You will always be the account owner. What are they used for? To save money, to invest money, and we'll talk a little bit about investing. I haven't, we can even go to the website if you all are interested in that, if we have time, but it's not part of this talk because I didn't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole. But you can save and invest your money for many, many kinds of expenses that you have. They're called qualified disability expenses. There's even a checking account. You can have a checking account with your ill-able account. Each year, a total of $17,000 can be put into your ABLE account. We'll talk about who can put the money in and how. $17,000 each year, and you can put in more if you're working. And you can use the money in this account that you have for the expenses you have. We call them qualified disability expenses. We'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. And again, if you have any questions, just stop me. So here are some reasons that you might want to own an Illinois ABLE account, an ill-able account. Let's start on the right side of the screen rather than the orange side on the left. Let's talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act that was signed in 1990. And part of the act had this language: to assure equality of opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency for and by people with disabilities. For and by people with disabilities, economic self-sufficiency. It's just not a phrase that in the 40 years that, or 30 years since the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, is really something that we in the disability community think about or think about enough. And so it's important to think about what makes up my self-sufficiency, or what I like to call financial wellness. How do I make sure that I have enough financial independence, that I'm not fully 100% reliant on my federal benefits, that if I am working but I lose my job, there is a way that I have some extra cushion. Those are some of the things that an ABLE account can do in helping you build your self-sufficiency. There can still be a special needs trust for you. Some people think, well, you can't have an ill-able account and have a special needs trust. A lot of folks with disabilities say to me, well, I don't need an ABLE account because I have a special needs trust. My parents opened one for me. It doesn't matter. You can have both. You can have an ABLE account and not have a special needs trust. And some people have a special needs trust and not an ABLE account. It's important to know that special needs trust costs a lot of money to have. Not everybody has the kind of means that make it possible to have a special needs trust. With an ABLE account, you can save money, and unlike a special needs trust, some of them, the money is yours. You own it. You own the account. Money in your Illinois ABLE account protects your SSI and Medicaid benefits. Let me say that again. Money that's in your Illinois ABLE account protects your SSI and Medicaid benefits. There's no spend down. In other words, any money in your ABLE account, it's protected. You could have $10,000 in that ABLE account, $20,000, $70,000, up to $100,000 before your SSI benefits are affected. So if you are ever in that situation where you're spending money you don't need to spend because you're trying to keep below the $2,000 resource cap, an ABLE account can help you with that. If you are working and you get paid, you can put more than $17,000 in your Illinois Able account each year. And when I say you can put more because you're earning, you have earnings, you can put those earnings into your Illinois Able account. Anyone can put money into your Able account. Your parents, your family, your friends. We even know of folks who had fundraisers for something that they needed, a piece of equipment. And the donations can go into the person's Illinois Able account to help pay for something that the person needs. So just to recap, your benefits are protected by the money that's in your benefits are protected in that money that's in your Able account doesn't count toward your asset caps. If you work and you get paid, more money can go into your account each year, and anyone can put money into your Able account. In fact, you can even have your SSI, SSDI benefits direct deposited into your Able account. You can have the money, your benefits put right into your Able account if you decide that's a good move for you. And then last but not least, if you or your parents or family members or friends pay taxes in Illinois, they or you can get a tax deduction from your taxes for putting money into your Illinois Able account. I'm going to stop there, Christine, and ask if people have questions. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yes, this is one that came up about that state income tax deduction. How does that work? Does somebody get a form at the end of the year that they use when preparing taxes?
Yes, it is called trying to remember. So if I make a contribution to an Able account, and let's say, and I've done this, if I put $1,000 into a friend's Illinois Able account, there is a form that the IRS provides, and Christine, I'll have to get the number of it. I don't want to misspeak, but there is an an Illinois state tax form where you can put a line in that says, let me just see if I can look that up now. I'll look it up and send it to you. Sorry. Can you still see the screen?
Yes, this is
But
Christine.
yes,
We
it's
can
really
still see
easy.
the screen.
You just put the amount in that you contributed, and it's deducted from your state income taxes. I'm an individual. I pay my taxes individually. So I could take up to $10,000 deduction from my Illinois state income tax for my contribution to any Able account. Doesn't have to be to a certain person's or my child's Able account, can be to any Illinois Able account. If I were married, I and my spouse could put in we could deduct up to a $20,000 contribution from our contribution to an Able account. Does that make sense?
Yes, and Janelle has raised her hand. Janelle, if you would like to take yourself off of mute and ask your question. And I will say Janelle is an independent service coordinator, or ISC, and had shared with me that there are folks that she supports that ask questions about money and Able accounts and trusts. So Janelle, go ahead and ask your question.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. So, JJ, thank you very much for explaining some of this to us, because I am one that doesn't really know too much about Able accounts. But my question is there a maximum amount allowed that individuals can withdraw per year?
Excellent question. No, you can withdraw any amount at any time, and you don't have to get approval when you withdraw the money.
Okay.
However, what you as an account owner or an authorized individual, somebody who has the legal authority to help control your account, you want to hold on to your receipts, because if the Internal Revenue Service, also called the IRS, comes in and decides to audit you to make sure that you're using the account properly and for its intended purpose, You'll want to have those receipts to show to the IRS auditor, but there is no limit to how much you can take out of your Illinois Able account.
Okay, thank you.
And Janelle and others, we are scheduling a July webinar for all of the ISCs and the staff of ISCs to help give staff information that can help your the stakeholders in your community. But we're also, just for everybody's knowledge, available to do presentations targeted and directed for your audience at any time. Just have to
That's
reach out and
great.
you'll get that information at the end.
Okay, thanks, JJ.
Sure.
Thank you, Janelle, for that question. And JJ, we have another question for you. What if someone has over $100,000? What happens?
Does anybody on the call know what happens if you have more than $100,000 in your ill-able account? I'm going to put the question back first and see if anybody has a guess. Does anybody have a guess? Do we have a chat feature on this? I'm going to open.
We do have a chat feature. So this is Christine, if you are wanting to chime in using the chat, you are welcome to do that. If you would like to take yourself off of mute and respond to the question, do you know what happens if you have over $100,000? You are welcome to speak up and speak out that way. Use your voice, use your fingers. It's all good.
I'll wait. I'll just give it a few seconds. And no answer is a bad answer. All answers are good answers because we're here to learn.
All right. We did have Chris say you get fined.
I love that. Thank you, Chris.
That's his answer to the question.
Chris. You don't get fined. But that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. So what happens if you have more than $100,000 in your account? Well, it depends. Going back up to bullet point number 2, the money in your Illinois Able account protects your SSI and Medicaid benefits. I didn't put in there, and probably should have, and I'm also open to your feedback about this presentation, by the way. It protects your SSI benefits up to $100,000 in the account. What does that mean? It means that if you are a recipient of SSI benefits, and I hope everybody on this call who is receiving SSI benefits knows that you're receiving those benefits, because it's part of financial wellness to understand what your financial means are. If you receive SSI benefits, you have a $2,000 asset cap. That means that if you have anything more than $2,000 cash in a checking account, usually, and you have to report this to the Social Security Administration. And if you go over $2,000, the Social Security Administration will stop your benefits. That's why people do this thing called spending down and buying things they don't need, buying things they don't want, because you may be earning money, or you may have gotten a gift from a loved one, a grandparent or a friend, money gift, and you have to immediately get rid of it because you can't go over $2,000 in cash assets. Well, that keeps you pretty poor, keeps you in a pretty strapped financial position. With the Able account, if you put money into that account, it builds up and it protects those. It doesn't count toward that $2,000 cap. So Chris, when you get to $100,000 in your Able account, and that can take a while, most Able accounts have about $9,000 in them currently. Once your Able account gets to $100,000, if you're on SSI benefits, the Social Security Administration will temporarily stop your benefits. You won't lose eligibility for benefits, but it will temporarily stop your benefits until the balance in your Able account goes back below $100,000. So think about that. You can have up to $100,000 without affecting your benefits. At $100,000, temporarily your benefits will be suspended until you spend down below $100,000. Well, $100,000 in an ABLE account is a lot bigger than $2,000 in a regular checking account, right? It gives you security. It gives you room to breathe, allows you to save for things. Hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions at this point? Love the question, Chris. Thank you.
This
Yeah.
is Christine. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. JJ, question for you.
Yep.
How did they determine the $100,000 cap in an ABLE account? What's the reason for that amount?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, Janelle. I think it was a little bit arbitrary. When it was said, it seemed like it made sense. Now, when we talk about how much you can have in the account, you can have a lot more than $100,000 in the account. You can have up to $500,000 in an Illinois ABLE account. It's just that when you get to $100,000, Social Security will temporarily suspend your benefits if you're on Social Security, if you're on SSI. If you're not on SSI, it won't impact obviously it won't impact your benefits at all, and it doesn't impact your Medicaid benefits. So I don't know why $100,000 is the marker. I believe it, quite honestly, was just sort of put your finger in the air and pick that number.
Yeah, just curious, because if somebody has this max $100,000 cap in the ABLE, do they start taxing that individual? And if so, like how much?
No, it doesn't involve taxes because these are tax-free accounts. So
Okay.
you won't start to face taxes. You simply, if you hit $100,000 in this account, will temporarily lose your SSI benefits, not your SSDI benefits. And again, most the average account balance in an ABLE account now, all right, I said it, who can remember how much do most people currently have in their ABLE accounts?
9,000.
You got it, 9,000. So we've got a long way to go before most people get to that $100,000 trigger.
And JJ, you said that they could have up to 500,000.
That's correct. The
Up to
account,
500. Okay.
Yep. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to move on from the reasons to own an ill-able account, and I'm going to put it on everybody to ask yourselves, am I eligible to be an ill-able account owner? Am I eligible to own this account? 2 questions to ask yourself. First, did your disability begin before you turned 26 years old? Even if it wasn't diagnosed before you turned 26, did it start before you turned 26? And the second question to ask yourself is, are you entitled to receive SSI, Supplemental Security Income, or SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, because of your disability? Think about that. First, you have to have acquired your disability before 26. You don't have to be getting Social Security benefits. I know many people who are eligible for them but don't receive them, and they're still able to have an Illinois ABLE account. If you answer yes to both of these questions, you are eligible to own an Illinois ABLE account. And I just see a typo in that slide. You're eligible to own an ABLE account. Any questions on that?
I did get a question. This is Christine. This is a question from Chris. Is an ABLE account considered a savings account?
An Illinois ABLE account is a savings and investment account. It can be used for both things. You can save, and it's also, we have a checking account option as well. So it can be a checking, savings, and investment account. It can be can be checking, savings, investment, or it can be a combination of all 3, all in one account, all in one place.
Thank you for that clarification and additional description.
Okay, so let's say I've said, here are some great reasons to own an ABLE account, and you've said, I believe I'm eligible to own one. Now ask yourself, is an Illinois ABLE account right for me? Should I own an ABLE account? Here's some more questions to ask yourself. 1, do I sometimes have to spend money on things I don't want or need so I don't go over that $2,000 SSI resource limit or cap? We talked about that already. 2, are there things that I need or want to save for that would help me in my life today, in a few months, or much later? And then 3, am I comfortable with having some fees charged to my account in order to manage the account? Because there are fees associated with the account. We're not going to go into those today, but I need to be aware of that. They're low fees, but they still exist. Some regular checking accounts charge fees. A lot of them don't anymore. But are the benefits of having an ABLE account worth, paying some low fees each year to keep the account? There are other questions you want to ask yourself as well, but these are some of the basic ones to think about whether an Illinois ABLE account is right for me. Then ask yourself, are there things that I want or need to save for, or daily expenses that I want to cover with my ABLE account and keep myself, allow myself to have more money available to me? We call these qualified disability expenses. I want to point you to the bottom of the screen. Instead of this list, I want to point you to the bottom of the screen. Any expense that builds your quality of life, your health, your independence, any expense associated with your living with a disability can be considered a qualified disability expense. It can include education and training, housing expenses, rent, mortgages, taking out the trash, utilities, getting around, your bus passes, your car, your any other way that you purchasing gas, job coaching, assistive technology that you use. If you need new technology, want to upgrade and it's not covered, you can use your ABLE account to pay for it. Do you get the help of a financial advisor or supporter to assist you with your finances? That you can pay for that. You can pay for personal support services. Any health care. I know a lot of folks who are on some Medicaid plans, often dental expenses aren't covered. You can use the tax-free ABLE account and the tax-free earnings in your ABLE account to pay for dental care. Legal fees, oversight and monitoring is kind of broad, but oversight of your account. And then finally, funeral and burial expenses. Again, these are just ideas. They're part of a list, but any expense that you incur that from your perspective, your judgment helps build your quality of life, your health, or your independence, you can consider a qualified disability expense. One thing to know is that the relationship you have here in the reporting you have is not to the Social Security Administration. You don't have to tell the Social Security Administration how you spent your ABLE funds. But if the Internal Revenue Service wants to know, that's when you have to have your receipts so that you can say, yes, this expense was, for my health care. This expense helped me with quality of life, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know of any audits that have taken place by the IRS in the 7 years that these accounts have been available. But you just need to hang on to your receipts in case it ever does. Any questions on what a qualified disability expense is?
Yes, this is Christine, and we do have one question. What about a vacation? That can enhance your quality of life. Would that be a qualified expense?
My answer to this question is always it is your account. You are in control of this account. So you have to ask yourself, does this trip, this vacation, does it contribute to my improved quality of life? Is taking a support person along necessary for me to take the trip? Therefore, can I use my account to pay for it? If you can answer that question, yes, then you just need to be able to provide that answer if you were ever audited for using the funds to take a vacation. Does the expense build your quality of life? One thing to keep in mind is that if you use the money for for something that is not a qualified disability expense, you just have to know that you may be taxed on the earnings of the amount that you pulled out to use, and there might be a penalty attached to a 10% penalty on the expense. Again, have not seen any audits by the IRS of any accounts, but it's important for you to be able to answer that question. Does this build my quality of life? Is this helping with improved or maintaining my health and wellness? Does it help build my independence, financial or otherwise? Any other questions on this part? Sorry for scratching my nose. I have my allergies are really bugging me, so sorry for continuing to scratch. Yes,
No
go ahead,
worries. No worries. We do have another question. Do you need to be 18 or older to get an ABLE account?
Great question. You can be an account owner at any time from the minute you're born. Your parents would be in charge of the account if they open the account for you as a child, and what we call a minor. As of 18, if your parents or a guardian opened an account and managed the account for you, and you are going to become emancipated or have legal capacity, you can take over the account at 18. You do not have to be 18 to open it. You do not have to be 26 to own it. It can be opened at any time in your life. You just have to have had your disability before 26.
And we received a thank you for that explanation of the age in which an ABLE account can be opened.
Thank you. Okay, so we ask, are there things I want to need or save for? I'm going to say, okay, now you're interested. You're thinking, I do want to have an ABLE account. I know I'm eligible. I can see some of the benefits of having this kind of account because I can save more money. Next thing is to ask yourself, I'm going to call them buckets. What bucket are you in? There are basically 3 buckets, and I want to ask everybody to think about which of the buckets do you fall in. The first one, I take care of my saving and spending, and I do my budget completely on my own. In other words, this is what we call in the industry, you have legal capacity. You are an adult, and I'm assuming everybody here is an adult, that I take care of my own budgeting, my own money. That means you have legal capacity. You are not under guardianship. Bucket number 2, you also have legal capacity. You manage your money, but you use the support of somebody you trust. I'm going to describe this as you have legal capacity and you use supported decision-making or something like supported decision-making, a fellow adult who helps you in managing your money with support. That's bucket number 2. Bucket number 3 is, do you have a guardian? If you have a guardian, that means in our world, that means it's called not having legal capacity. You will still be able to own the account, but you will have somebody else open it and manage it for you. Any questions about what bucket each of you on the call fall in? Identify for yourself what bucket you're in, because the next slide you're going to want to know which bucket you fall in. Are there any questions about these buckets, I'm calling them?
This is Christine. I do not see any question about which bucket you are in. I will, however, congratulate you for bucket number 2 and sharing the use of supported decision-making,
100%,
which is available now in Illinois.
Yep.
And the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance, along with the Illinois Guardianship and Advocacy Commission, can do presentations on supported decision-making, and you can even find a presentation on supported decision-making on our Alliance YouTube channel. So just a plug for that.
Great plug. I'm so glad. And I didn't capitalize supported decision making because I don't know if it's a a real title yet, but I love that idea, and I hope that those who are in bucket 2 and are using supported decision making find this information helpful. All right, so you know what bucket you're in, or that somebody that you serve, if you are a supporter, is in. And we're going to go on to, okay, now what? Now, who opens the account? Who opens and manages the accounts? Well, we're going to start with buckets 1 and 2. In buckets 1 and 2, you have what we call legal capacity. That means you can open and manage the ill-able account for yourself. You do not need somebody else to do it for you. Or you can grant something called power of attorney to a trusted person or a trusted organization, like a service provider, to open the account and manage it for you. That person or entity is going to be called an authorized individual. So you can do it for yourself, or you can grant power of attorney to somebody else to do it for you. Both you and your authorized individual have equal control over the account. And you, the account owner, can remove an authorized individual from having any authority over the account at any time. Something that I forgot to put into the buckets 1 or 2, and I want to really draw your attention to it. There is a way to open and manage the account for yourself, that first bullet point, and still have somebody there to kind of keep an eye on things with you. You can add what's called an interested party. So you could have somebody else get a copy of your statements or be able to call Illinois Able to get information about your account, so that even if you're opening and you're doing it on your own, you're not swimming entirely alone. You can add somebody that can give you some assistance, but they don't have any control over the account. The other person with control is that authorized individual. Any questions on this? If you're in buckets 1 or 2, and you have what we call legal capacity.
This is Christine. We don't have anyone sharing or asking a question.
Okay. So keep thinking about what bucket you're in as you consider whether you want an ABLE account. Forgive me for the blue numbers. Don't know why that happened. I did this deck pretty quickly with the help of my teammates. Bucket number 3, you are a person who is under guardianship. With bucket number 3, you will have to have an authorized individual to open the account for you. And the authorized individual will make decisions about how to use the money in your ill-able account, but it must be for your benefit. Must be for all the things we've already talked about. Whoa, and I see a typo. Gosh, I really made a mess of this deck, didn't I? We'll clean it up for the next presentation. I hope there'll be one. There are 7 people who can, I'm gonna take number 1 out, but let's skip. We already talked about number 1, the power of attorney, but that's for somebody who has legal capacity. That's buckets 1 and 2. Next are a legal guardian. So your guardian can open the account and manage it for you. A parent can then open it. A spouse, if you're married. A sibling of yours can open and manage the account for you. A grandparent, grandma or grandfather, can open it. And then finally, your Social Security Administration rep payee can open and manage the account for you. It's in this order. In other words, and I know what, I'm not seeing that, but in that order, that means that if you have a guardian, the guardian has the top option to open and manage the account for you. However, if I'm your Social Security representative payee, so example, a service provider, and I being the service provider, I'm going to use an example. I'm just going to throw this. I used to work with Search Inc. Search is one of the service providers in our state. And I am your Social Security, the entity Search is your rep payee. And I handle all of your funds for you. And I know that your guardian is willing to allow me the entity, to open this account and put extra benefits into it and help you put gift money into the ABLE account. I just need to certify that I am the only I'm the entity or the person or entity with who's willing and able to open the account for you and manage the account for you. If later on your guardian comes in and says, you know what, I want to manage the ABLE account, your guardian can take over the ABLE account. We'll just freeze it until the guardian comes in and takes it over. So I kept this kind of simple because I want to, if you're in bucket 3, I just want you to think about, you know, would my legal guardian open the account for me? If not, could my parent open it? Sometimes that's the same person, or my spouse. Do I have a sibling who is my guardian, or who I don't have a guardian, but my sibling would be an authorized individual? There are a lot of ways to do this, but these are for those of you who are in bucket 3 under guardianship. Any questions on this one?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay. It's not, you know, the first time you hear this, you're like, huh? Don't worry about it. Hopefully you're going to listen to this more than once, and you'll get a real grasp on how to go about this. So what do I do next? What do I want to do? What do I do if I'm interested? First, start planning. Talk to your supporters if you need to, the supported decision-making network, other friends, parents, people you trust. Figure out what bucket you're in, bucket 1, 2, or 3. Then learn more. I'm going to say you've got to go look at this thing called the Plan Disclosure Booklet that's on lllinoisable.com, with a supporter, without a supporter. It has a lot of information in it, but it's really important to visit the website, go around the website, look at the different things that are offered, and to read what type of investor are you with somebody you trust. Honestly, I don't have a disability myself. I would want to look at this with somebody I trust the first time. So both of those can be found at lllinoisable.com. You know, I didn't put in here, go to visit lllinoisable.com, look around, see what information is there that we didn't talk about today. Then organize all of your information, your social security number, your driver's license, your birth date, your street address, your mailing address, one email address that you'll use for all of your account communication, and then another account number, a checking or savings account number that you can use to move the money into your lllable account. These accounts must be opened through Illinois Able. They cannot be opened at a bank, by the way. The authorized individual is going to have this information ready too when you go to open the account. And here's how you can open your account. You can open it with as little as $25. There are 2 ways to do it. You can go online and do it online at lllinoisable.com and look around the website before you go in to enroll, or you can download an application from lllinoisable.com and mail it in. And if you need assistance with getting an application, you can call customer service. Remember, you can't open this at a bank or any other entity. You have to go through lllinoisable.com, either calling customer service, go online, download an application, and mail it in. Any questions about opening an account?
Yes, this is Christine. There is a question. While we are talking specifically today about Illinois ABLE accounts, do other states have ABLE accounts?
Yes. Other states offer ABLE accounts. There are 47 states, I believe I've got that number right, that offer ABLE accounts. Some states only offer the account to the residents of the state. Florida is an example of that. Other states, such as Illinois, make their plan available to anybody anywhere in the country. Lots of other states, you can go to that state plan and open your account. Something that all states say to residents is you should always look at your state's plan first. Some of the reasons for that, if you remember when we were talking about deductions, tax deductions, you can only get tax benefits like that if in any state, if you are living in that state. So if I live in Illinois, I can get a state income tax deduction for contributions to an Illinois ABLE account. If I live in Wisconsin is another state that gets a tax deduction from the Illinois ABLE account. But if I live in Illinois and I have an account with another state plan, I can't take advantage of any tax benefits they offer. So there are some good reasons to look at your own state's plan first. Also, you want to look at the fees. Illinois is part of an 18-member, what we call an alliance. There are 18 of us that came together to offer our program. And we have been able to get our fees on the program down much lower than you might pay as an out-of-state account owner in another state. Some states make their plans available to out-of-state residents, but they charge more to have an account if you're an out-of-state resident. So that's another reason to look at your own state's plan first.
Thank you. And we have another question relating to states. What is the process for transferring money from an ABLE account from one state, say Illinois, to another, say Indiana?
Indiana, very easy. You can call customer service and they can point you to the forms, but there is a very easy form. It's called an ABLE account rollover, and you can roll an account over from one state into another state's plan, and very easy to do. You can only have one ABLE account anywhere in the country. So you can't have an Illinois ABLE account and an Indiana ABLE account. You can only have one. So you have to choose one or the other. If you have an Illinois ABLE account, you want to roll it out and put and open it in an Indiana ABLE, say you move out of the state or you like the Indiana plan better. I will say the Indiana plan is exactly the same as the Illinois plan, but you can roll it into the Indiana plan and you have 60 days to make that transfer, and customer service will help you do that.
Thank you for that. And here's one that is related. If you have an ABLE account in Illinois and you move to another state, can you keep that Illinois ABLE account, or must you transfer it to the new state of residence?
You can keep the Illinois ABLE account. Just remember, if you're no longer an Illinois taxpayer, if you're contributing, you won't be able to make contributions as a resident of another state and take the Illinois state income tax deduction. That's pretty obvious because you wouldn't be filing Illinois state income taxes anymore. But you can definitely keep the Illinois ABLE account because our plan is available to anybody anywhere in the country.
Thank you for that explanation. I am not seeing any further questions, comments, or contributions.
Okay. All right. We welcome you and invite you to sign up to receive Access ABLE news and updates from the State Treasurer's ABLE program. It's a monthly newsletter. It gives you information about the latest news on ABLE plans in general, and specifically the Illinois ABLE plan. Would love if any of you are an Illinois ABLE account owner and you'd like to share your story. We'd love to hear from you. We like to feature ABLE account owners from across the state in issues of the newsletter. We don't share your email address with anyone else. So you can be sure that when you sign up to receive Access ABLE, you'll just be receiving Access ABLE. You can sign up at illinoisable.com on our website, or you can send an email to able@illinoistreasurer.gov, and we will sign you up for the newsletter.
All right.
These are pictures of the Illinois ABLE team. There's our boss, Fernando Diaz, and then there's myself, JJ Hanley, and then Stephanie Cantor, who's our deputy director, and Rosemary Laudani, who's our ABLE program manager. We are here to assist you. As mentioned earlier, if you would like a presentation for your organization, your staff, a group, just reach out to able@illinoistreasurer.gov and we will set up a time for a presentation. Any questions? And here is the long disclaimer information that just gives it's what people call the small print, but it just is here to say, You know, we do our best to give you the correct information. Sometimes it changes. So what you hear today, it could change in the future if legislation or laws change. But thank you. Thank you so much. And I really hope you'll visit illinoisable.com and think about opening an account.
All right, this is Christine, and we have a thank you and another question. The
Great.
first is, this has been very informative. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a question for you all, and that is, we would love feedback. What did you learn that was helpful? Did the presentation give you the information in a way that was easy to consume? Because it's a financial product. Sometimes it can be a little bit complex and hard to explain, and people get bored, and I get bored. So I just I'd love your feedback in that regard. Are there topics that you didn't hear about that you want to know more on? So ready for your questions, Christine.
Yes. And if you cannot think of some feedback to share on, did it answer all your questions? Did you wish it had contained more information? You are welcome to email that to me at the Alliance. You can email it directly to JJ Hanley at illinoistreasurer.gov. However you choose to share that, we will make sure that JJ gets that information. And another question, how are funds invested? Do ABLE accounts earn interest?
That's a great question. And, you know, I left those slides out because at first I thought we only had 20 minutes. But you can, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just quickly try to see if I can share the website. And so if you can let me know, I'll show you more easily. So Christine, let me know if you're able to see, if you all are able to see the website. Are you able to see it?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I don't know if it's okay. So on the investments drop down, you'll see a really great what type of investor are you that gives you it helps walk you through what things you want to think about when you're talking about investing. But you can also look at the investment options and the checking account option. So there are 6 investment options. The aggressive means you're taking more risk. The conservative, and you can see at the bottom, there's the conservative, and it describes how your money is invested. A small amount of stocks, a little bit of bonds, but mostly in a savings account. That's the conservative investment option. So I recommend that you take a look at the options, but do take a look at what type of investor are you. In fact, Stephanie and I were talking this morning that we want to have a session on and assessing your risk tolerance, understanding what is risk, what is my risk tolerance, and have some learning around that if you all are ever interested. Then there's the checking account option. The checking account option right now currently pays, I think it's like 0.01%. It's still quite a low interest rate, even though interest rates have climbed. But it comes with a free real-time debit card. You can write as many checks as you want. You have to buy the checkbook for $6. No overdraft fees. It's FDIC insured up to $250,000. The balances do earn interest, and you have access to 55,000 fee-free ATMs. So within the network, you can withdraw money from the ATM for your purchases without paying any fee at the ATM box. So definitely recommend that you take a look there. Under the resources tab, you can see you can sign up for Access Able by clicking here. There's an easy FAQs page. There's also a list with all of the forms that you need to enroll. There's also information about upcoming webinars and downloadable brochures, information about giving gifts, and then there's a Special Olympics Illinois page because we have a lot of Special Olympics participants who also own ill-able accounts. There's a contact us page. So if you ever need customer service, you can take the eligibility quiz. How do you do it? You just go right here and figure out if you're eligible and learn about who can open it. We just talked about that, but there's more detail here. And then the benefits of having an ABLE account that hopefully we've talked about today, but there's more detail. So hopefully you find this this helpful.
This is Christine, and thank you for that quick tutorial. A couple of things caught my attention. The first is, am I eligible? I think that would be amazing for Janelle, perhaps to share with some of the folks she supports as an independent service coordinator to talk through that and to walk through that. I like that. I also like the information about risk tolerance. I would imagine perhaps the younger you are, the more or the less risk adverse you might be.
Yes.
Understanding that you have perhaps many more years to have
Yes.
some growth. But people have different kind of risk tolerances at all ages and stages of life.
Yes, and you'll see if you go to the bottom of that page on our website, there are 3 examples of matching your investment choices with the account owner's needs, timing, and risk tolerance. So remember, you are the account owner, so you'll want to understand this and spend some time on it. Again, if you think a session on risk and risk tolerance would be helpful, we could probably put that together as part of an ABLE presentation.
I think that would be amazing. People understanding more about finances and how they impact their lives right now and then in the future. We could all use more information and education. We had an additional question. What financial system holds it? So, Chris, I'm not exactly sure what you are asking here in terms of the financial system for the ABLE accounts.
Sometimes people ask, does Illinois manage the money? And I can say that Illinois does not have any role in the handling your money or managing it. The state treasurer's office just oversees the program. When you put your money into the checking account, it is with Fifth Third Bank, which is an FDIC insured checking account. And the investment options are all handled by well-known underlying fund managers: BlackRock, Schwab, Vanguard, Sallie Mae. I think those are names that most of us have heard about. So if that's the question you were asking, Chris, hopefully that answers it.
And this is Christine. Thank you, JJ, for sharing that it is Fifth Third Bank. I know that there have been several banks in the news of late as having gone out of business or needing to be taken over by other banks. So yes, thank you for that. I'm not seeing any additional questions or concerns, comments, or contributions. I thank you so much, JJ, for spending time and sharing your experience and expertise with us as we learn more about Illinois ABLE accounts.
Thank you. Looking forward to working again together soon.
Yes, thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you all for joining us today, Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, for the Alliance's May webinar. Have a good day, everyone. Keep
Bye-bye.
on speaking up and speaking out.
Out.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, JJ and Christine.
Bye.